Marco Andretti is the car that is under the 32 car of Mario Moraes. As the field comes through turn number 6 now.
It looked to me like one of the KV cars, Sato, was one of the first to make contact with a car ahead. Now, it was a bit of a freight train effect, but certainly Mario Moraes and Marco Andretti, that came from way in the back.
Yeah, so that happened under braking.
The first look, the first few rows get through fine, and then just look to the left of the screen, I believe, watch the KV car. There it is, Sato. Sure enough, just came in, and that started the mid-pack pileup. But then later, kind of the chain reaction, that is Moraes catching wheels with Marco Andretti and going right over.
And it looked like Marco was just trying to get out of the incident as well as Moraes going by. And it looked like, yeah, there's
spectacular footage.
Yeah, so Moraes lost it on the brakes going in.
And I think that's the same thing that set off Sato. When you pointed out Sato there, he was hard under the brakes, and the rear just came around. Watch that. There he is with the orange nose under braking. So he just has a little bit of rear bias, and that spun the car out.
And again, in too quick for the freight train, that is. That's like being on the highway and something happens when you have 2 lanes going to 1. Everybody checks up, and that happened at the back.
And that's Marco saw it all happening, but Moraes was back behind him and just came in with some speed. It was like, oh, I can't slow it down.
Castronetta, and that was Sato coming in.
Oh, and Elio had contact.
No place to go.
Dixon, yeah.
But Moraes, as he came in and joined that, like you say, Marco saw what was going on, probably was slowing up because he noticed it. Moraes was further back, didn't really see it, came in with some more speed, and as he was trying to get all over the brakes to slow down, you know, just went over the top in a pretty spectacular fashion of Marco Andretti.
Now, that section of the track that has been ground overnight has some debris that kicks up, and Jack Arute. Jack, watch the situation down there.
Fellas, let me update you. Marco Andretti has radioed to his crew that he is okay, but the severity of that accident knocked part of the radio communications out. He cannot hear his team, but who cares? We just wanted to hear from Marco.
Yeah, exactly. There's the 5 car of Takuma Sato, and here is Moraes and Andretti. Wow, what a way to start the season. The Sao Paulo Indy 300, and we're non-stop on Versus.
For a domain name at GoDaddy.com, a girl talks to me. A girl, watch, SmokingHotDreamGirl.com.
That's Danica Patrick.
So, do little maniacs want another domain name?
Yes, please. How about
SmokingHotDance.com?
See more now at GoDaddy.com.
My boyfriend has one.
My girlfriend, my older sister.
She has 2 kids.
My college roommate who lives up north.
My mom.
My neighbors.
Our neighbors.
My daughter.
My daughter.
We were in the same class in elementary school.
My boyfriend.
My parents.
Our parents.
My lovely wife.
And my husband has one.
Yeah, as well as a fellow I work with.
My girlfriend, she moved out east.
I'm a city girl.
Everybody knows somebody who loves a Honda. Who do you know?
Select IZOD IndyCar driver. Driver selected. Tony Kanaan. Select race transport. Mission finish first. The fastest drivers in the world. See who wins at racetotheparty.com.
Have you seen what's happening out there? Have you even bothered to look?
They need to be reminded of the order of things.
One day, somebody's gonna have to make a stand.
Turn them on each other.
Clash of the Titans, in theaters April 2nd.
Still under under caution at Sao Paulo, Brazil because of a crash at the first chicane, and these 5 drivers have been involved, including Elio Castroneves and Scott Dixon. Andretti, Sato, and Marias also, and of course the big pileup resulted when Marias went over the car of Marco Andretti. So it's going to be a while before we can get the track cleaned and under green. Let's take a look at what happened here.
If you could stop it here, I want to just highlight the car I think you really need to keep an eye on, and that's Sato in the orange nose. Let that roll, and you'll see that he was the first car that couldn't get it stopped and made contact. That's where the first happened. Then if we stop it here, we have an opportunity then to check out the second car. You really got to keep an eye on the black car of Marias. He also cannot stop and get to turn sideways. He didn't try to hit Marco. He just couldn't stop. Turn the car sideways and right up on top, and boy, the safety of those cars, at least from what we've heard, that Marco's okay. That's fantastic.
Elio Castroneves in the pits. He had a damaged front wing. He's been refueled and is out there once again. Here's his on board as we take a look what happened.
Look at all the dust from the concrete and the grinding they did there. Now look at that. That's Sato on the right. So Sato was on the right side, had got sideways, and he just ran over his nose. Really had nowhere to go.
Dario and Alex Tagliani and a few others were ahead of the wreck, but boy, it sure has reduced the number of cars we have in the race. And Marco Andretti is climbing out of the race car, maybe a little bit shaken up, but he appears to be in pretty good condition. Can you imagine having the car, however, land right on top of you?
That's Dr. Mike Ollinger with his hand on him. He is the doctor that travels to all the races. They have the same. The Hamacho safety team travels as well as the doctor. So those are familiar faces for Marco.
Good to see him walking to the ambulance. So under yellow because of an accident on the very first lap to begin the Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Sao Paulo Indy 300 on Versus is brought to you by Apex Brazil. To learn how Brazilian goods and services can work for you, log on to experienceourenergy.com. And by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
Back in Sao Paulo, Brazil, there's the number 19 car of Alex Lloyd. We are under caution. Really went green for only a short period of time when we had a crash in the very first corner of the first lap. We have seen several cars come in for a pit stop during this caution. Elio Castroneves, Will Power, and Ryan Briscoe among them.
Yeah, and Power actually got hit right in the right rear at that incident. Just kind of lifted him. He went on. In another car, we don't see what happened to him, but Justin Wilson, he cycled through the pits. We thought he got through there cleanly, so I don't know what happened to him.
The entrance to the pit area here is just beyond where we had the crash. Just off of corner number 4, you turn hard to the right and enter pit lane, and it's a long pit road. You actually exit at the apex of turn number 6. So there's a big area of racetrack that is included in pit lane. Jack, we saw several cars come in during this yellow.
And you know what, guys? It makes a lot of sense to do so. First of all, if you're Elio Castroneves, you know, you want to come in, you want to have your car checked over. But he also came in too early. Tim Cindric apologized to him on the radio. But some of the others, like the 9 car of Scott Dixon, you want to come in, they topped off their fuel. Now, that may seem inconsequential because we've been running under caution since the drop of the green flag into turns 1 and 2. But it will allow these guys to go a little further than some of the people that have elected to stay out. They were already involved in the accident, so Jan Bikus, Robbie Buell, you know, it makes sense. Pit now, take on some more ethanol, and see what happens with some more full course cautions.
Jack, I do think that obviously, as you talked about, the windows get larger and larger the more yellow you have. But I think anytime as you pointed out that you have contact. Robbie, you don't ever want to take a risk on a tire being cut. If you've been bumped or you've run over debris, you just got to pit, because if you have a puncture under green conditions as opposed to making a yellow pit stop, that's a pretty good gamble.
Well, that's the difference between losing a lap and fixing your problem.
Yeah.
That's that simple.
It would appear that Sato, Andretti, and Marias are the only ones that are going to be